As crazy as Your Honor has been as far as, plot twists and everything, I never expected the villain from Seven would like pop in, or the Riddler, as I'll call him probably for the rest of this review. Michael, I mean, when that phone call, you hear the phone in the desk and he gets it, and my immediate thought is, oh, he's being blackmailed. I mean, it's pretty clear. But then, this guy's in his home. And you start thinking about the detective work this person had to do. They want exactly $222,000. I'm like, we got a supervillain all of a sudden. Like, what the hell is going on? Now, I think I know who it is based on the ending, but but even that's insane. Because I'm assuming it's just the guy that was parked behind. Adam.
Yeah, that's my thought.
But I'm like, who is this guy?
Well, remember the black SUV that's been following them around all over the place? I'm guessing it's whoever's in that vehicle. I don't know who it was, but they've showed the black SUV roll up behind Adam several times now. So I'm thinking it's them, but I don't know who them is yet.
Well, yeah, and that's the thing I'm going to have to look at, myself, just to sort of see if was it a black SUV potentially parked behind him in episode 1.
There was a black SUV that has appeared, many times, but we've never seen who was inside. And because there was a car parked behind him, and the guy was cussing him out. And I was like, is it that guy? Or like you said, it could be whoever's in the black SUV. Well, whoever it is knows what they're doing,
To some degree, yeah, absolutely. But it's the sort of thing like, was this guy just that unhinged that he's followed him around for a little while, or noticed that car anytime it's been in his neighborhood? Because, like, he recorded him when he thought he was being an asshole, at the gas station. And, was he recording him when did he maybe just see him come back to the crime scene, looking it over, and realize it was his car, from the news reports and everything, and then did he make a play from there? Is that...
right, absolutely, yeah. No, that's possible. Why do you guys think? I would, refer to him as the villain from Seven, or the Riddler. Like, there's weird things about how he's doing it. Like, he wants 222,000. Why? Like, why that number?
Well, it's almost like he knew exactly how much was in his bank account, knew how much was in his whatchamacallit, the college savings fund. Because remember, when he went to the bank and was asking for that, they were like, you have to give us 48 hours. He's like, shit, because all of his money, that seemed to be exactly how much he had saved up. So it's odd that they would have access to that. Well, depending on who it is, it might not be that odd.
Well, I'm not sure whether he's got access to that, or whether he just kind of made an estimate based on their class and their resources and that kind of thing. It's like, well, this is a prominent judge, they have this much money, his son's going to school, I could probably get about this much from them.
Or how much they got for the mom's life insurance.
That's a good point. It could be that. It could be the fact that he knew that he was potentially paying for college at NYU by looking at Adam's social media, after piecing everything together. He could have estimated how much it was actually going to cost him and everything. And he's like, well, I want that.
For what, 1 year?
Well, you can estimate from just like, okay, well, he'll probably get a scholarship for this and that, based on, or he may not get, but good point. Yeah, that may be 1 year at NYU.
I don't really know. I know it's expensive, but
well, having gone to some expensive schools, I'll say that, I can't judge anything like NYU, but he could look at a school like that and say, yeah, they've got at least this much. I'm gonna ask for this. Yeah. We'll see if he wiggles a little bit.
You went to a pretty expensive school in one of the places you lived.
Yeah, I did. Never do that again.
Yeah. Welcome to Pulp Mythos. I'm Brian here with Larry and Spencer. And yes, we're discussing Your Honor, Episode 5, Part 5. If you've not hit the sub button, please do so. The channel is growing. We're trying to hit that 1,000 soon. I don't know. Maybe in the next 3 to 6 months. That would be nice. That's an ambitious goal, but I think we can possibly do something like that. Hit the upvote, leave a comment. A lot of content, a whole lot of content. I was looking at our schedule. We have midway through January, there's going to be a point where we have up, 5 videos a week. So a lot of stuff coming to the channel. Back to Your Honor.
I'd like to.
Oh, go ahead.
Well, I'd just like to follow up on what we were talking about previously. Like, who did you all think it was before we had those last few scenes?
I was trying to work out, is it somebody that we knew? And I kept thinking, and then I thought, well, maybe it's someone associated with the Baxters. That was what I was leaning towards. And then it wasn't till the very last part where I was like, I don't think it is. But that was where I was leaning.
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure. It'd be really goofy if it was just that lady who was telling him to hurry the fuck up. And she, she's like a private investigator, started putting shit together. But I think that whoever's in that black SUV is the key to that. But my first thought actually was a gas station attendant. That was my first thought.
I didn't even think about that. That's a good idea.
But the camera angle, once they revealed the other evidence, the secondary camera, it looked like cell phone camera, that to me gave me a different perspective. Like, I thought initially it was the gas station guy, because when they went in there and he was like, oh yeah, it's this guy, I felt like maybe he knew. But then when they showed it looked like cell phone camera footage. I'm not 100% sure now. I literally have no clue.
My mind immediately went to Detective. I can't recall her name, but the detective that he's friends with. I thought maybe perhaps she had pieced things together, and she's not as much on the up and up as we think she is. She's just very into her job. Like, she's a good investigator, but maybe she's not exactly as a good person or anything. That she pieced it together that, yeah, it's you, and it's Adam. And she was trying to maybe get them to buy her silence, if anything. Like, and because especially when they described the person that was at the house is, like, she was describing a white male and described the car and everything, and I was like, well, we don't know anybody like that on the show, at least not as far as I know. The horseshoe and everything. My mind went to the idea that it could be another cop working with her that she sent there. Because she I think better than anybody else, she may know how to go about this smartly.
What if it's the guy with the super thick Irish accent, Cusack or whatever?
Oh,
no, Cusack was the police that was in on it, the one who was torturing Kofi and stuff.
Yeah,
I don't remember his right hand man's name, but that'd be crazy if he was just trying to extort some people to get some extra money. Because to me, like Brian said earlier, somebody in the Baxter organization makes the most sense, just because of the vehicle, them being in the vicinity when he died. If, him being a mob boss's kid, they probably had him tailed just so that they could, basically keep up with him, make sure he wasn't, heard. Or it's somebody from Desire Crew who was following him to see what he was doing, and perhaps was trying to, plan a hit, but then he got killed anyway. So there's several different people it could be. Who else I was thinking too? Not Charlie, but the white cop guy that he was talking to. Someone like that too.
Yeah, and I was thinking also that it could be that. It could be, some of the cops that were involved in stealing the car and everything, that now that there's so much heat on this little thing that they're involved in, they're piecing things together. And now they're and now that one of them knows has the full picture, they're trying to extort a little bit of money, but enough that's not going to be really noticeable that, oh my God, Officer so and so is incredibly rich now. What's up with that?
Yeah, I don't know who it is, but go ahead.
I was just saying, there's a lot of angles.
Yeah.
That
speaking of angles, And that's the crazy thing about this show. You know, you think throughout the episode that, you know, the two new major threats are Desire Crew and then, you know, this whoever this person is blackmailing Michael. But then bam, the ending happens. And all that almost goes out the window to a degree. I mean, it does and it doesn't, but holy shit, Jimmy Baxter now knows. And does he know the full details? No, but he knows that Michael is involved. He knows he tried to cover up something. He knows that his attention is going straight to Michael now. That was shocking. That was more shocking than anything to me in the episode. What did you guys think when that ending happened and everything Michael did to try and cover up that damn gas station footage? It turned around and bit him in the ass.
Well, it's one of those things that we've talked about how it's not that he's being sloppy, but it's almost like everything is too late. Like everything he's trying to do, the wheels are already put in motion and it's too late to fix it. And I think we're seeing more and more that he's like a step behind where he should be because his son didn't come forward with all the information quick enough. So now he's basically playing catch up, but you know, with all these people, he's playing a lot of catch up, and everybody else is figuring this shit out except for the cops. That's the fishy part, is that these cops are going to either get in trouble or they're going to figure shit out here pretty soon. But because for Big Mo to figure it out, for the Baxters to put it together very quickly, because they just kind of got pointed in a direction. But as soon as they were pointed in that direction, they found all their own evidence. So it's for everyone to have figured this out. You know, Larry saying that it's that female cop, maybe she's working with somebody and extorting him, to me would make a lot of sense, because how the fuck, with all the resources that the police have, not been able to put this together yet?
Yeah, and I feel like they'd want some degree of they'd want to know what was going on now that it's become such a big thing and that they're tied to it, you know, because they don't want to get killed by Jimmy Baxter either. You know, and they're technically involved in the cover up unknowingly. Like but you know, it's one of those things that, you know, it's still hard to say who it is that like who it is in that black SUV. I think that would solve a lot of things, honestly. Like we get some insight into that.
Well, I thought it was crazy how much they revealed, knowing that this is only halfway through.
Yeah,
For them to figure out that it was the judge and his kid. Now I'm like, how far is this going to go? How are they going to extort everybody? Is there a third gang we don't know about yet? Like it.
Well, Jimmy's got to be careful now, because he clearly has a target and he knows what he wants. I'm sure he knows what he wants to do, but now he's dealing with a judge. And he, you know, blowing up a judge is a whole different ball game than doing what he did. And so I think that's going to play into the drama of him trying to figure out how to deal with it.
Absolutely. And you know, and honestly, his character here seems a lot like, you know, early Walter White in Breaking Bad. And you know, before, you know, just deep down how bad a person Walter White truly could be. And he's clever in a lot of the same ways too. In fact, sometimes it seems like he's more clever. And one thing Walter White was good at is, you know, like, you know, just sort of handling situations like this where he's cornered. And, you know, I could see it very much. I could definitely see a scenario where Jimmy Baxter's mostly got it figured out for the most part, but he's diverted things enough to where it looks like he's being used, he's being played. You know, someone, like maybe he pins it on the blackmailer, in fact, and makes it look like he's being blackmailed for a while for some reason, you know.
That'd be cool.
You know, because that's definitely a very Walter White thing to do. You know, he's like, yeah, I'm being blackmailed for this reason and this, you know, it's, you know, maybe ties one of these other scandals in there. Like perhaps something with the teacher.
Oh, I forgot about her.
Yeah.
She wasn't there this week.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that was one of the gripes I was going to have, but on the same note, it's age appropriate for this 17-year-old kid who was super in love with his teacher, who was willing to literally get her put in jail because he just was doing dumb shit that was going to get her in a lot of trouble, and then just to move on. He was just like, and all within a matter of a couple days. And that's a very teenage kid thing to do, but
absolutely,
it's not just move on. Yeah, let's jump into that. It's here. Not just move on. It's odd and creepy what he's doing. Okay, he's specifically seeking out a girl whose brother he killed by accident, but killed. And instead of staying away, no, he seeks her out. He makes an effort to connect with her, and he does, and he pulls it off, and they flirt, and clearly there's something that's going to continue. Rocco and Carlo's sister, which I don't know the character's name, they never say it. I listened and listened. If anybody knows the name, a little sidebar. This show doesn't do a great job of naming characters. There's certain characters I never hear their names, but anyways, but no, he seeks her out.
Thea.
Thea.
No.
Thea?
Yeah, like Thea, but with a F.
Thea. There you go. But yeah, he never. He seeks her out. Like he set that up. That's weird. I don't know what the hell he's doing or why he's doing it.
Yeah, it's like he doesn't understand the gravity of anything he's doing, and how it could really just make everything fall apart. And it seems like maybe he kind of already fell for the idea of her and everything, and which is like, I guess, also a foolish teenage thing to do. But it's a little crazy after, as you mentioned, he's accidentally murdered her brother. So it's a crazy thing to do.
Sorry. Go ahead.
Oh no, it's cool. I was just saying, the stalking and everything else is kind of crazy in itself, but like it's compounded by what he's done.
Well, and that's the thing, is that at first I was like, you know what, this is a great portrayal of teenagers. That's because you watch, there's shows on the CW that don't do a great job. These people are falling deeply, madly in love at 14 years old. And I'm like, oh, Jesus Christ. But this, to me, has done a great job portraying teenagers. However, they should not kind of set this as the example, because he is, like you said, he's legitimately like cyber stalking her and accidentally being in the cafe that he knew she was going to be at. Like it's very... He's become obsessed with their family, but it's going to be his undoing, and I'm just waiting to see who kills him, whether it's his dad because he won't fucking listen, or if it's somebody from the Baxter organization.
Or her. Shit.
Yeah. Once she finds out.
Her brother's out. Carlo, the psychopath, is out. And in no time, he has a little exchange with her and a little back and forth, and we get a little glimpse of how controlling he is. It's sort of playful, but clearly it's like, no, he's a dangerous guy. We know this. He murdered Kofi, and he's already making moves. Jimmy seems a little possibly concerned about it. Carlo's been out of prison for 5 minutes, and he's already got his guys with him. He's talking about new deals and new drugs and things he's going to be pushing. Carlo is a major player now in the show, in the story, and dangerous and a threat, and that also could be Adam's undoing potentially.
Yeah, he doesn't have an issue with killing and maiming people, so I think that, like you said, I'm not sure which one of the Baxter crazies are going to kill him, but I think that one of them will do it. It'd be craziest if it was his mom, because she seems to be the biggest loose cannon.
Well, that's the thing. I don't know if she ever personally gets her hands dirty in that way, or if she just pushes everybody to do it. And we may see. But yeah, I think mentioning, oddly enough, I do think we mentioned this in a previous episode, or at least I recall, the idea that given his what he's doing with him looking into Rocco's sister so heavily that it may not be, what he's done, to Rocco that gets him killed. It may be his obsession with the Baxter family and specifically with Rocco's sister that gets him killed.
Well, yeah, like you said, Carlo, he seems to not only be very possessive over his sister and protective. There was a line that he said, something about, cracking his head open. Like a lot of the little things he was saying seemed very, and we've already established that he was convicted of a hate crime. So it's not just, he's a little racist. He legit is a psychopath, and him coming after Adam is probably one of the more real possibilities.
Yeah. And he did utter the words, when she was talking about dating and fooling around and everything. He did just outright say, he's like, hey, if anybody's messing with my little sister, I'll kill him.
Yeah, and he wasn't joking. Like I said, it was done in a little playfulness, but we already know what he's capable of. We've seen it. Yeah.
Well, even in that, it was only playful after she said, "Who says it's a he?"
Yeah.
Before that point, he looked angry as hell.
Well, I think it just caught him off guard. He's like, wait, what?
Yeah, because that's when he goes, "Always it's always you with the jokes, huh?" And then he went off and talked to his friends. I think we'll get unfortunately, that might be Adam's end. He's made a lot of mistakes, oddly enough, and so I guess this would be the honest one to catch up on it with him. But this is a show that, as we've mentioned before, with given the mistakes he's made and how closely he's tied himself to everything. Like if you did something like Adam did, you would. Yeah, I think instinctively, at least if you were trying to cover it up the way they're trying to cover it up, you would sort of distance yourself from these things. But he keeps getting himself more and more wrapped up and more connected. And that's I doubt it'll ultimately play out well for him.
Yeah. We get they call him Little Man, and that's just what I'll refer to him as, Kofi's brother. But Little Man, he's dealing with his family is dead. Everything has been taken from him, and yet he's alive and he's got to survive. And so he joins Desire Crew, and they take him in, and basically, they take care of the funeral for his family. We are introduced to the leader of the crew, and Big Mo. She runs things. It's her crew. And she seems like the kind of character that's very strategic and plays the long game. She or says it at one point. And we know that, there's the sequence with, not only recruiting him in to take care of him, but then, he says he wants revenge. Baxters have to pay. And she's like, they will in time. And we already see little plays where she goes and talks to the Baxters and lets them know, Kofi had nothing to do with what went down. Your evidence is bullshit, and she lays out the timetable and everything. So and then he's like, why didn't you tell me this sooner? And she's like, there was no need to. And so this is someone who knows what's going on, who's plotting also. So now there's so many moving pieces here. Now we also have Desire Crew, who I think is plotting against the Baxters. How that's going to play out, what moves they're going to make, I don't know. But very interesting, new character introduced. I love the journey of Little Man. Like, this is a guy, we saw him at the big.
It's Eugene. I looked
Eugene.
It up.
This is.
Yeah.
I am positive that they never say the name Eugene.
His mother may have said it once. I think when they
the first episode.
Well, I think maybe when they announced that Kofi was killed in prison. And she called him over.
He was, we saw him in the first episode, and when she was being put on trial, and who would have thought that this character? Oh, actually, we see him at the beginning because when Michael's doing the run and he goes up to the door. So Eugene or Little Man, we've seen him since the beginning of the show. Who would have thought he would become a central figure and one of the main characters? So that's been an interesting journey to watch. But where do you think his story goes, and this whole new angle with the Desire Crew?
I think that it's a good because in all honesty, I'm not familiar with that kind of environment because I've never been, you know, essentially homeless. I've never had to, share a room with three other siblings and only have a sleeping bag. Like I've never been in that kind of scenario. So for him to, they're treating him well. And for him to be as young as he is, he doesn't see it as what he's doing is bad. He's seeing it as these people are supporting me. These people are being my friends. These people are taking care of me. These people gave me a room. He didn't have to scrounge. He didn't have to, ask for help. He didn't have to eat a pickle, and that'd be the only thing he ate all day. Because I think he made a reference to that when she said something about he didn't get much to eat, and then it was just something small. They showed he was just eating like cereal at one point, which I'm not going to bash. I love cereal. I'd eat cereal all day, but I'm fortunate enough to have other options, and he didn't. He didn't have much of anything, so they are giving him that.
Well, yeah, not only that, but he hasn't offered much other than seemingly, as far as we know, homelessness or foster care outside of this. So it's like, hey, do you want to live in this big house and have this room all to yourself, all these things you've never had, or do you want absolutely nothing? Do you want to scrape from the bottom? Do you want your future to be completely uncertain? Because he's at an age where he's probably got an okay understanding, not a big picture understanding maybe of what his situation is like, but he's at a point where it's like, hey, it's this or it's absolutely nothing. He's like, do you just want to be impoverished and and skip meals and be in foster care potentially, with a family who doesn't really give a crap about you, like so he doesn't have a lot of he doesn't really have a lot of options, honestly.
None. I mean, and absolutely none based on the way, yeah, it's laid out. You're right. They, and I think Big Mo feels bad about the situation. She does. She calls out Little Mo in the kitchen scene. She's like, you effed up.
Your fault.
This is your fault. His family's blown up because of, actions you took. And, there's the fun little test, and I love that he calls it out. He's like, was that a test? Where she leaves the roll of money and he returns it to her. But he's smart enough to know, he's smart enough to assume that it was, and, to pass it and do what needed to be done, and now, work for the crew. But
well, yeah, and it's the sort of thing. He seems the smartest Kofi, and it's the sort of thing where it's like, yeah, he was well aware that it was a test, and I feel like if he had kept the money, nothing would have happened to him. That was just, she would have considered that recompense in a way. It's like, well, you got this wad of cash.
That's what I assumed it was, actually. I assumed it was sort of a, yeah, this is a, I forget what you call it when, like she was taxed to,
yeah, right,
for what happened, basically.
Like, yeah, this is a small penance, for what we've cost you. But then again, even then, she wasn't really like, and it's a question of how much she does care, because to a degree, she wasn't 100% helping him. She was interviewing him, if anything.
That's a great point.
So, and when she tells him, it was like, well, you got to play the long game. Was she really hoping to convince him of that and yet squash things with Jimmy Baxter so that there is no war whatsoever, and continue her business and continue it well into an age where, in her opinion, hopefully he has too much to actually risk what he has for sorry about that, y'all. for what he's got. Maybe she's hoping that he'd be so ingrained into her gang that there'd be no chance that he would mess up things for the Desire Gang in the future. That may have been her end game. Give them a taste of what they have, and just get him into the life. That way, he's not escalating the situation. There may be no revenge planned.
Maybe, yeah, you might be right. Lee comes in and gets Eugene and takes him for lunch, and she's basically seeking to find who Kofi's father is because she needs somebody to sign some paperwork because she wants a second autopsy. She knows that the cops are dirty, that this was all BS, and she needs a second autopsy to prove it. She gets it. We find Kofi's father. He's at first he doesn't want to get involved, but he finally makes the decision to, and they do the second autopsy. We don't get the final results of it. I'm sure that'll be saved for next week, but clearly we know what happened, and I'm assuming she's about to find out. So all the cards are falling in by the end of this episode, that being another piece, and that will directly screw over the prison, the police, because now we know there's a cover-up. And then it could go back to Carlo because we know he was the one that committed the murder. So that's a whole other side of things happening in this story.
Did you watch the trailer at the end for next week?
I did.
That's what you just said. It seems that a lot of that will play in. There was a news reporter that stated something about the corruption between the police, the judges and everything else, and I don't know if that's the next episode or next season, but with the rate everything's going, who the fuck knows?
It said, so when you saw that, it said season trailer, like it didn't say did you notice that at the top?
No, I didn't.
It said season, and my thinking was, okay, we're at the middle of the season, so maybe this was giving us a glimpse of the second half of the season.
Oh shit.
Yeah,
a lot to fit in next episode.
And think about that. Yeah, we're at like basically the halfway point. And look at everything. Like, arguably, the first 4 episodes was somewhat of an arc, and now we're going into an insane new side of things where everything's coming out. And so now it's no longer about the first 4 episodes was about keeping the secret. Now everybody knows what's happened, and it's how do you deal with it, and who does what, who takes revenge, how things play out. So structurally, the show's been great.
Yeah, it has a good flow, and it's amazing the amount of content and twists and turns they fit in here. Because for a while there, we were wondering how this would be contained to one season, and still kind of wondering that with as many twists as there are. Yeah, it's been going at a good pace.
Well, it keeps you entertained without overloading you. They kind of reveal a couple things each episode, and then they kind of add one more thing. So as they're knocking off one of the 37 things from the first 2 episodes, they add one more thing. So it's always each episode, the way it's been structured, it's not only keeps you engaged, it also has done a great job telling the story. I think that there's a couple parts that kind of seem insignificant, but it shows a teenage boy. You look at Adam when his dog was dying because he just forgot to give him his medicine. He's, now that was his, the one thing he cared about. He's begging his dad, don't forget to give him the medicine. Don't forget to do this, because he was in jail. But now he's just so obsessed with the Baxters that he didn't care about his dog. And it's not that he didn't care, I guess. It was more of he just forgot. It was just absent-mindedness. And it's happening because of his obsession with the Baxters. And that whole scene made me get all choked up. I was like, "Oh, the dog!"
Yeah, you got big ass dogs. Yeah. when he, he runs up, and like you said, that's a great point. They're showing that Adam is no longer the same Adam we knew in the first episode. He's changing, and his priorities are changing. And yes, him finding the dog, and then when he dropped the dog, I was like, "Oh shit." And then this whole time I'm thinking, okay, is somebody still in the house? Because we know, whoever this is, that's trying to get money out of Michael has been in the house, put the, news article. So there was a lot going on in that scene. And then I do like the scene where he's sitting on the floor and he's like, if I call you, I don't give a shit what's happening, who you're with, what's going on, you answer the call.
That's a teenage kid thing. That's
Yeah.
a parent having a teenager, and I can imagine like his anxiety too with everything that's going on currently. Him basically being involved in a murder. That's one extra thing on top of having a teenage driver. He's literally killed somebody, and on top of that, even I'm sure that he's got some PTSD as far as his wife is concerned, because he probably tried to get in touch with her after it happened. So when he can't get a hold of him, his mind immediately starts racing. He starts thinking the most awful things. So for him to say that to him, and he's just like, "Oh, sorry, Dad," that was a perfect parent-child interaction where, as a parent, you want to kill the kid, but the kid's just being a kid. So it's
Well, yeah, and plus, Adam was mentioned in the text messages. It's like, the message also said, "Where's Adam?" When he was, when they gave him when they put that burner phone in his desk. So, for all he knew, they caught up with Adam, and they have him as well. There was no telling what happened. Like, maybe that guy caught up with him, whoever's blackmailing him. Maybe it was the Baxters. Maybe they figured things out. There had to be a number of things running through his mind.
Maybe it was somebody who was really just concerned about the dog, and they're like, "Hey, where the fuck's Adam? His dog's sick."
Yeah.
And they're like, "He needs to get home."
But that's, and I'm glad you brought up that scene too, because that was another, and this is going back to, again, talk on who the blackmailer is. How easily they got into the house and everything, and the knowledge they had to have of everything. I don't think I said this earlier, but another person I thought besides the detective, I also thought that it could be the teacher, and that was blackmailing him. Like, that was one of my first thoughts, before we got the that scene towards the end where we got the footage from the gas station, because I was like, okay, maybe she's gotten whatever she wanted out of this relationship. Who knows how many other people she's also fooling around with, or like, clearly, I mean, she's sleeping with one of her students, with a high school student. Like, her morals are a little flexible. So, maybe that's another boyfriend that she had break in, because they described a white male and a green something another. I don't remember the description of the vehicle. You said Toyota?
Yeah, it was a Toyota Camry. Oh, shit. Okay. Do you remember when he took an Uber home I'm trying to remember, because she said there was a horseshoe in it, so it was an Uber. What if this is all somebody who overheard him or saw him or got some of the evidence from dropping him off? It could, the blackmailer could be completely unrelated. The blackmailer could have accidentally just been getting gas and been behind the sun and been like, "What the hell's going on here?"
I mean, it's absolutely possible. I just hope
I don't think so.
It's one of those things where whoever it is a fucking detective, and and not only that, is very brazen. Going into the courtroom, planting the phone. When you lay out everything they did, breaking into a judge's home, even sending the text, and somebody who's clever. It's not just. I don't know. I do like. I hope if it's the black vehicle we've been seeing, because that's still not been answered. What the hell was up with that? We kept seeing it and it would just drive off. I think there might be something to that, but it could be just some random person. I mean, who knows?
It could be, and if so, I feel like we're getting an episode that just kind of goes that takes us through the timeline of how they figured this out and how they got involved with this and everything. If it was just like the guy behind him or something, and it very well may be, or someone who would have access to that footage, like do we know, like do we 100% know that that the guy at the gas station was the person, well, the gas station attendant that Adam's dad talked to was the one who was working that day? Like, was he the one working that day, or was it somebody else? Could someone have taken their phone in to complain about Adam, and it's like, all right, yeah, if you can give us the footage, and I'll follow this, like, and I'll bring this to my manager's attention and everything. Just send me the video. and then piece things together over a period of time, seeing this play out on TV and recognizing the vehicle, and then just driving by him. When Adam went back to the neighborhood to check the scene of the crime again, it could just be, like I said, someone who worked at that gas station.
And it just depends on how, it might not even matter. This show that storyline could end next week. Like, I didn't expect Kofi to die the way he did. Like, you know what I mean? I thought that was going to be a major storyline that ran through the show. And I mean, it has, obviously it's connected, but I never thought Eugene it would shift to Kofi would die in the first, 3 episodes, and then it would shift to Eugene. So this could be another one of those things where it starts and then bam, it ends. And
well, I'll say this much: I thought he was going to die, and I guess this kind of threw me off. I thought Kofi was going to die, but I only thought Kofi was going to die because of the trailer we got after the first episode. Where we had the funeral and everything. I didn't know that was a funeral for the whole family. They did a good job of kind of misleading us there. Which is what we got this episode. I thought Kofi would live for a while. I thought he might make it out of that prison, but I didn't. But I certainly didn't think he was going to make it out of the series alive. Speaking of which, I think now that the judge is carrying around a gun and everything, I think we're about to see how far he's willing to go to cover all this up. Because I feel like in order to hold up this illusion that they're trying to create, he's eventually going to have to kill somebody. Hell, I thought this might be that episode.
And they're constantly introducing new characters. Carlo was when he got introduced, it's like, oh shit, here's a new character. As you mentioned earlier, this episode, we didn't get the teacher at all. We didn't get Charlie at all. I thought he was going to be a major character this episode because of the explosion and the family being killed, but he wasn't. So, there's so many moving pieces and not a whole lot left in terms of episode count. So, yeah, we'll see where it goes.
I'm trying to think too. We keep mentioning the vehicle. It's a black. It looked like an Escalade with. God, dog just jumped on my head with the. Tinted out windows. But we've been introduced to a governor. We've been introduced to a lot of city council people,
with senator
mayors. Those are. Oh yeah, I said governor. But these people have those kind of state vehicles. So I'm interested. I might go back and watch a couple of it on slow motion to see, because if it is a state vehicle, it should have specific license plates. But what if it was one of them who's keeping track of them? And there's so many question marks. It makes most sense for it to be the Baxters, and they may not be trying to throw you for a loop at all. But I am really curious about the blackmailer now. That's kind of taken over my thought process as to who that is.
Well, yeah, I don't think it's the Baxters, because if so, I think they would have been, a little more clued in that it probably wasn't Kofi who committed the crime. Yeah.
Quit, McGruff. Shit.
But yeah, a lot of moving pieces each week. Something new is added, a new character, a new wrinkle in the story. Very much enjoying it. Any other thoughts on episode 5 of Your Honor?
No, I don't think so.
Well, like I said, it's just the only thing I want to say is it's kind of reminding me of, from two angles, honestly. Like, not going to say who, because I don't want to spoil, but I guess for one character, it'll be pretty obvious. Just like the previous episode of season of Fargo we reviewed, I'm seeing a lot of the same angles here, being played. It seems like you were saying earlier, Spencer, no matter what, I can't remember Adam's dad's name right now, one of the main characters, Bryan Cranston. Bryan Cranston's Michael, yeah. No matter what Michael does, things seem to be catching up with him. In fact, his trail seems to be uncovered a little faster than his son's. He's not able to cover it for son's mistakes at all, even though he's going about things pretty much as smart as you can. And I see a mirror there with Jimmy's story as well, where Jimmy, and I don't think we discussed this yet. Jimmy does not 100% have control of his gang, which we saw during the dinner there with his son. He seemed to be a little irritated at that they were making plans, their own plans for things there at the table. So I'm just saying, my question is here, is Jimmy going to do something to sort of prove that he's the boss, or, is he going to, regain his powers, or has he completely lost control of his gang is the thing. Is Jimmy in control in name only? Because he's certainly not respected by everybody.
Yeah. Yeah, like I said earlier, Carlo's doing his own thing. We have Gina, who's been calling the shots for several episodes now. And Jimmy now knows he has a target. He knows what to do, or who to direct his attention towards, but it's not just a civilian. It's a judge. It's a major player, so he's going to have to figure out what he's going to do. And then when Gina finds out, what's she going to want? How's she going to want to approach this? And then Carlo. So you almost have three forces within the family, and I don't know that they're all on the same page. Carlo's probably more in line with what Gina wants, but then yet again we saw him making his own moves also. So yeah, I don't know.
Well, yeah, and it seems like Carlo maybe knows a little more than he's letting on, because we have that moment where Big Mo's talking to Jimmy and laying out the facts and everything, and we get a close up on Carlo's face, and he kind of tenses up a bit. Like maybe before the fight happened and before he killed Kofi did have a chance to sort of lay things out to him, and he just wasn't hearing it. So I feel like maybe Carlo has a little more insight than he's letting on.
Maybe.
Yeah. But yeah, thanks for listening. What, 4 or 5 more? I think is it 9 episodes or 10? All right, so yeah, another month, and we will get these answers. I still don't know how they're going to wrap it up, but I guess we will find out. Thanks for listening, and we will talk to y'all next time.
Bye.
Bye.